Okay, that looks like maybe something from underneath a microscope. Ew! Ew! Why is it hairy? Oh dear God, where are we? The warden wants to see you. Okay, hello mustache man, follow me. Delisle Correctional Institute, 1946. He's all yours, sir. You're relieved, Jeremiah. Best get home to the missus. Thank you, sir. Hello, Winston Churchill? I've transformed Delisle Correctional Institute from a dingy county jail to one of the top facilities in the country. Did you know that? No. No, I didn't. I didn't do that just by imprisoning small-time crooks, murderers, and thieves. No, sir! Over the years, I've curated a very specific type of prisoner. Deviants! They're not like you or me. Sickos, perverts, communists, whatever you want to call them. They can't be rehabilitated because they're barely human to begin with. And the strangest part is, you think every part of their brain is broken, but they can still feel shame. A father of 3 will try to shoot you dead if you accuse him of putting on dresses and having sex with bellboys. A well-to-do woman would stick her head in the oven before she'd admit to an alliance with the colored boy down the road. Hell, even my own mother was a goddamn suffragette, but me or dad would have beaten the snot out of her if we found that out before she croaked on us. What is his face? It's a difficult thing to get confessions from these freaks. Now, normally, when a district attorney needs a bit more time to build a case against one of these deviants, they'll rush him through the courts on some trumped-up charge, keep him in prison for a while, and hopefully buy enough time to build a case. But if they can't, Delisle Correctional Institute will get a confession for them. His faces are freaking me out. We've read the works of Freud, Moreno, and Watson, reproduced the experiments of Pavlov and Skinner, and consulted with Wortham, Miller, and Young. We've distilled them all into an effective methodology that loosens the prisoner's tongue, while leaving them free of the physical cuts and bruises that don't play well to judges and juries. Real humane-like. But listen to me ramble on. The reason I brought you in here is because your cellmate, Mr. Charles Keating, is one of these deviants. We've tried our best to build a psychological profile on him, find a proper plan of attack. But Mr. Keating managed to run out the clock on us. Mr. Keating will have served his sentence as of midnight tonight, unless we get a confession in the next few hours. I will need to read these documents from the US Attorney's Office. If you believe anything in these documents can be used to get a confession out of Mr. Keating, we need to know. In return, if you merely read these documents, even if you don't find anything, we'll consider your sentence served. I know, it sounds too good to be true! Anything you can tell us might be the key to keeping this monster behind bars. He doesn't fit into the worlds. He belongs with me. Oh. Drag an object to move it, click it to view. Well, this is Romancing Flesh. It's a point-and-click style, horror game? Freaky game. God, sorry, I scrolled backwards. As you can see, we have to, figure out if this guy is guilty or not. Okay, let's see. That... so plants, that kind of looks like a brain, I will admit. That's a nice house. That's a nice little bus thing. Oh, recording dated February 12th, 1942. Hello? Dr. Petrov! I'm sorry for the call. The bus trip is taking a bit longer than I was expecting, but I should be there in just a couple more days. That's fine, I'm still setting up the lab, and most of my supply shipments will be arriving late as well. You should be in town just in time to help me get everything up and running. Phew, good. Is there anything I should brush up on before I get to the lab? I managed to grab a decent selection of medical journals while I was in Boston. Plant cellular structure. What? The nature of the work we'll be doing is a bit cross-disciplinary. I trust your medical knowledge is up to date, but I need to make sure you've brushed up on some of the basics of botany. I suppose I could visit a bookstore while we're at a stop. A newsstand should have some periodicals. No need for the latest journals, Mr. Keating. You don't need to know the latest scientific learnings, but you should be able to write and illustrate a grade school textbook on basic plant biology with your eyes closed before you get here. I'll make sure to study hard on the trip over. Good lad! And if you could bring a tin of real coffee, I'd appreciate it. We're down to the stuff cut with chicory down here. Ugh. I'll try my best, sir. See you in a few days. Click. Oh, I forgot to ask if it was alright for me to record the call. Tape shut off. Well, bit late now. Okay, let's see. What's What's this? Dearest Mother! The bus trip is a bit longer and more uncomfortable than I was expecting, but I should be in Alabama within a few days. I've called Dr. Petrov's office and he assures me his facility is a few hours outside of Fayette, so I'm not as far from civilization as I feared. I may have to forego the nightly edition of the paper, but we all must make deep sacrifices in the time of war. Please remind Father that Dr. Petrov's work is being funded by the US Army, and although I won't exactly be one of the tough SOBs marching into Hirohito's palace, God, I'll be an active contributor to the war effort. Besides, I hear if I were a service member, the letters I send to you would look like Swiss cheese, and we don't want to exacerbate your lactose intolerance. I hope this letter finds you in better spirits than when I left, and in worse spirits than when I'm there. Your loving son, C. Harles. Science is a poor pursuit for young men. Too much infatuation with the new and novel, with no room to appreciate the refuge of tradition. Sure, quite frankly, Mr. Keating should have seen what was coming next. Oh my god, he got turned into a plant. I'm calling it now. Oh no. Drag an object to move it, click it to view. Oh no, that's him. That's him right there. This is him. I'm calling it. Are they fingers or are they toes? Ew! Okay, that looks like maybe something from underneath a microscope. Ew! Ew! Why is it hairy? This is subject 42FA5 and it's time for her meal. What does it eat? What? It seems to be able to sense when the fly is near, but further experimentation will be needed to determine how. Ew! Notice here she swallows the fly whole, crushing it inside of its stomach. Once it starts growing teeth in a few days, she'll switch to chewing as it conserves a bit more energy. Why is it growing teeth? Recording date of March 3rd. There, we're recording now. I don't want to be recorded. Now what the heck did you get me involved with, Dr. Petrov? It's a flower, Charles. It has teeth! Yes, the teeth were expected, but look how evenly they grew in. The dentistry isn't the issue, Dr. Petrov. What you're doing is unethical. How exactly is it unethical? You ripped apart a living, breathing thing to make... Mr. Keating, this isn't a butcher's shop. I'm not hacking and stitching animals together like cheap circus attractions. I grew this flower from a blastocyst. I fertilized the egg by needle injection in my lab. What do you mean, grew? Before it reaches the embryonic stage, you can count the number of cells inside of a blastocyst by hand. If you have an expensive microscope, a small needle, and lots of time, you can even identify what each of those individual cells would grow and divide into. So I take those individual cells, and instead of letting it grow into a monkey, I manually remove what I don't want it to grow, and rearrange what I do want it to grow. But why turn it into that? You read those botany books like I told you to, yes? Yes? Very simple structures, aren't they? Most of the plant is made of the same type of cell. No complicated organ systems, no skeletal structure, no need for a centralized brain. If I took these pre-embryonic masses of cells and just rearranged them willy-nilly, I'd create thousands of malformed failures before I stumbled upon a useful form. So instead, I used plant structures as a basis to rearrange the cells. And the results have been astounding! Just a few rows of my pseudo-plant cell design, and it not only maintains the structure, but continues growing it naturally, like the animal cells can remember their plant roots. Pardon the pun, of course. This guy's weird! But you're missing the point! You're not growing a new life, you're forcing something to suffer from its own birth. They didn't suffer, Charles. I've been analyzing their brain patterns. They use so little energy to grow, their brains default to a dream state, a calm, peaceful sleep. So where are their brains exactly? And then we'll be killing them for their meat. Ew, plant meat. Yes, but someday, I'll design them to grow as large as trees, shedding meat like apples off of their branches. I think for hundreds of years. Ew! Ugh! Tree meat! A forest of these trees will negate the need to raise animals for slaughter, ending a 10,000-year genocide of innocent creatures. With forest meat? I already bought a plot of land a bit further north when I'm ready to grow them. I thought it would take decades for me to make something like this, but then I found you! I've read your paper on atypical embryonal development, and it felt like a practical extension of my own work on the teratology of plants and animals. That paper is on that paper is on birth defects, Petrov. I can't do that to animals on purpose. What's evolution if not a series of beneficial birth defects? I guess. What would take 1,000 generations and dead ends to spontaneously develop, we could grow overnight. While other scientists are trying to fix the problems nature gave us, we'll design a sustainable future for the planet. Well, it should be a future without biting flowers at least. But maybe you could isolate the stomach and rearrange the structure like a Venus flytrap. A Venus flytrap? See, I'm glad I recorded that because I'm out of pen ink. Tape shut off. Ah, you're making meat traps. Dear Aunt Sonia, happy birthday! I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person this year, but I hope my package arrived in time for the party. Work has been busier than expected. I'm sorry if my last few letters gave the impression that I can be frank about the work I'm doing. But now the lab is fully operational and the experiments have started in earnest, I realize some self-censorship will be, on my own part, will be required. In the vaguest terms possible, my work involves supplementing the army's diet with quick and cheap meat. But Dr. Petrov has some lofty goals for where the research could lead. I'm sorry to say your sister's son attended college to become a glorified sausage maker, but it's not the worst place war could have taken me. I mean, we'll see. That being said, Dr. Petrov is very passionate about the work we're doing. It's miles different from the lab work at Tufts College. There's a half dozen experiments in different stages of development. And every day I'm learning something new. It's frantic and it's fast-paced, but energizing. It'll be a while before we're manufacturing canned meats, but I could probably trade you some jerky for your homemade fudge by next Christmas. Your loving nephew, Charles. Some good bourbon. Now, men like you or I, we would know better. When the witch in the woods welcomes you into a gingerbread house, you don't accept the invitation. You throw her into the fire. That's not good. That doesn't look good. That's not ideal. Probably at all. What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? Oh, whoa. Okay, that still looks a bit freaky, but it looks a little bit more plant-like, which is good. That just looks kind of weird. Okay, recording dated August 24th, 1942, so a few months later. Okay, it's on. Say that again, Charles. Chimera? Oh, no. Oh, my God, he's gonna get turned into a plant. Haha, yes! But the whole thing, you drunk. The entire thing, you said. The whole thing again! Okay. The plant animals we've been growing tend to be fairly small for a lot of reasons. We've only grown them from single rearranged blastocysts. We've only allowed them a few weeks to reach maturity. The plants can't grow faster than the animal's parts it came from would. Yes, but get to the important part. Okay, so our experiments with grafting have been failures. But, instead of trying to graft during adulthood, we can simply make our pre-embryonic blueprints bigger by using more blastocysts. This wouldn't result in rejection because we have well-documented cases of siblings ingesting each other, smaller embryos in the womb, resulting in the embryo containing cells from both siblings. Chimeras! We will merely start that stage in the process even earlier and assemble larger plants. Now this implies we can only use genetic siblings to build these plants. I assume we can't use other animals too genetically unsimilar. We could certainly experiment and find out. Oh my God, he's getting into it now. I'd certainly like to see a rabbit, pigeon, dandelion or something. Wow, he really is he's completely turned around to this. You blow on it and a bunch of seeds will fly out on rabbit ear wings. You see, inspiration could strike at any time, Carls. We could have forgotten all about this in the morning. Yes, fine, I can see the merit of your little recording device there. Oh, another idea. What if you made plant animals that interconnected with each other, like pieces of a puzzle piece? Do you mean like a kind of fungus? You could have one plant specially designed to collect and refine nutrients, which can feed a second plant that could just focus on growing bigger. So like a human-centered plant. That's a strange place to need a mouth, Charles. Wherever you'd like to put your mouth is fine to me, Doctor. Whoa! Whoa! Okay. Oh, what was that? Oh, yes, it was just a little joke. Let's call it a night. He wants to suck his pee. You aren't recording this by any chance, are you? Tape shut off. Wow, okay. Let's see who this letter was for. Dear Cousin Delilah, I've been paying extra to get the hometown paper shipped down here in Alabama, and I read that you won a blue ribbon for your peanut butter fudge at the county fair last month. You must be absolutely over the moon. I can relate to a lesser extent. As I've told you in my last correspondence, I'm finally getting the hang of the work, which must be secret. I've managed to make a breakthrough of my own. Essentially, for the past year, I've been trying to perfect Dr. Petrov's recipes. He makes some sort of new confectionery, and when he feels like I'm ready, I'll go through the hard work of perfecting it. A little less flour here. Ha! I see what you did there. A little more baking powder there. Trying to get the ratios just right. But I finally made a recipe of my own. I hope someday I can share it with you and the rest of the family, and make you as proud as you all make me, especially the ribbon winners among you. With love, Charlize. P.S. Take heed, your mother won't stay the number 2 baker in the family for long, and she'll make everyone in the family fat with fudge until she's reclaimed her crown. If they'd stopped there, we might be hailing them as gastronomic pioneers. Heck, I might have eaten a ribeye salad for dinner tonight. I think they wanted more than food. Oh, this doesn't bode particularly great. Oh my god, okay. I don't even want to know what you're eating. Butterfly Venus flytrap meat thing. Yum. What is that? Oh my god, it's turning carnivorous. Oh, not good. That is Lovecraftian horror right there. Nope. Nope. No, thank you. I don't want any eldritch beings. Recording dated November 20th, so a couple months later again. We may have hit a snag with the rabbit experiment. Are you recording a log on the rabbit experiment? It's just a lover's spat, Sergey. They'll be back together in no time. The rabbit's new leg. Bit it, Charles. It's a new leg? I warned you this might happen if we didn't engineer both of the animals together that way. Ulna was a little confused, that's all. Let Jack settle down for a couple days, and I'm sure he'll take Ulna back. After seeing how quickly Jack took to his new leg, I was more than happy to let this whole thing keep going. But is this necessarily the best thing for them both? Ulna can move around on their own, and so can Jack. They're not wholly dependent on one another. Maybe we can let them stay friends. Just stay friends? We should really be focusing on our real work. Plus, this is starting to veer off both of our areas of expertise. Let's just call the experiment off for now. You want to call it off, Sergey? Well, maybe I should take your advice and engineer a new symbiote for Ulna then. A new partner might solve Ulna's problems. Well, we don't know what sort of effect that'll have on Jack, mentally speaking. Again, Charles, this is all very new to me. Everything we've been doing here has been new to me. Some new experimental organism, a novel discovery, some unexpected result, and it is exciting, don't get me wrong, but it's nice to have someone reliable in all that chaos, who is also a little exciting himself. I'm glad that person has been you. Maybe we can keep the Jack and Ulna experiment going. We can pick up the discussion in the morning if you prefer. Tape shut off. Oh, so why did you give her a leg with a mouth? Dear great Uncle Anthony, I tried recreating your famous dry rub mix. Some of the ingredients were hard to come by, rationing and all that, but I think we managed to get a close approximation. We threw a little backyard barbecue for the neighborhood to test our first production batch of meat, and it was a resounding success. This whole experience has given me a newfound appreciation for the time I spent on your farm when I was younger. Dr. Petrov nearly fainted during the butchering process, leaving me to do it all on my own. He reminded me of the time you put Clarabelle chicken on my dinner plate. Please write back when you have the chance. I'm dying to hear how the rest of the family is doing. Your city slicker grandnephew, Charlizio. Everything you've read so far is what I've had to scrape and scrounge to get from government files. So you've already read all the juicy stuff. The rest of the boys in blue mopping up. Okay. This sounds weird. Oh my god, so they're burning it. Oh, it all went so wrong. Okay, let's start off with this one. Incident report, narrative. On the above date, Private Officer Daniels responded to a call about an escaped animal. Upon finding the loose cow, P.O. Daniels saw its mouth was covered in blood. Upon closer inspection, the grass the cow was eating was some kind of malformed rat stuck in the grounds. Huh? After calling for backup, officers discovered a sizable acreage of buried, deformed animals. Mr. Keating became agitated, and in response, officers were forced to put him into submission. Mr. Petrov was taken into custody for questioning. So were they burying any experiments that died? For health and safety reasons, it was decided to humanely dispatch the animals before bringing Mr. Petrov and Mr. Fielding into custody. Memo from the Office of Redacted. As my JAG officer has previously claimed on my behalf, Dr. Sergei Petrov was awarded a government contract from General Redacted, who died at Redacted during Redacted, resulting in a transition period in which most of Petrov's work, of an already secretive nature, was done with little to no oversight until my office was made aware of it. Unfortunately, my upcoming absolvement may result in many more officers lower along the chain of command being found at fault. Officers you do not want to bring to court during these desperate times. Considering the improbability of systemic failure within the US Armed Forces, I suggest we propose the possibility that foreign agents were involved. Under the specific circumstances Petrov was working as a contractor, a treason charge would take him outside of US military jurisdiction and tried as a civilian. You're welcome, blank. Okay. To Redacted. Mr. Keating and I are currently in Fayette County Jail. I believe the police have set fire to most of our work. I try to save as much of our work as possible, but please send copies of all the records I've sent so far to your offices. And if you have any internal copies of your correspondences, please send those as well. We've made remarkable progress in the last few months, and I believe if we act quickly, we can still reach our first production deadline. Thank you, Dr. Sergei Petrov. We live in a delicate world and a fragile time. This is not an era for radical new ideas. We just fought a long and hard war to re-establish the grand order of the world, for heaven's sake. And on American soil, a couple of dandy bookworms were playing God and feeding diseased meat to our children. I couldn't stand it, so I took a leaf from Mr. Petrov's playbook. I psychologically tore Mr. Keating apart and reformed and re-educated him as I saw fit. You! Whoa! What? Oh my god, I was him all along. What? In the dissociated state you're in, Mr. Keating, it gives you a sense of clarity, doesn't it? Oh, wait, what? You can see what I see. Why didn't your family ever write me back? Why did your lover try to rescue his work instead of you? So they did bone! If you leave this prison tonight, where can you go? You know the answers, you know why you're here. You know why you need to sign this confession. Why you need to stay behind bars. You left home and traveled across the country, hoping you'd change it to the sort of person your family would miss. Instead of doing something to make them proud, you decided to pursue what made you happy, and you became a sick caricature of everything your parents hated about you in the first place. A mama's boy sticking his meat in the dirt, hoping it'll grow. Yeah, that's a weird way of phrasing that. Sign the confession. If you leave this prison now, you'll undo all the work I've done for you. You'll fall back into bad habits and become the same person you were 3 years ago. None of us want that. Would you? I don't want to change back, Warden. I've made so much progress. It was hard fabricating the equipment necessary to continue Dr. Petrov's work, but you wouldn't believe how fruitful my experiments have become. Why is it Harry? What? And quite frankly, I like the persons I've become. Ew! What is going on? I'm just throwing my pieces at him. It took me months to find you. You didn't answer when I called your name. Why is he a meat tree? From a distance, I almost couldn't recognize you, but I found you. I hope you're dreaming of me, drinking from the brook, eating the fruit from your branches, huddling from rain and sleet in your safe embrace. And someday, in a brief moment of lucidity, maybe you'll read this message and know I'm gone. You wanted us to change the world, and we did. What? Huh? Starting with ourselves. I'll always remember you fondly. Love, Charred Lees. Finn. What? Oh god, oh, it's so weird. It's so weird. It's such a good game, but it's so weird. Well, now that I've been traumatized, I'm gonna go. But before you go, why didn't you subscribe? And then after you've done that, go and watch this video here. I've been traumatized before, and you'll get to see it all here. But I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.